You do not have a type. You have a pattern. Your relationships are not failing because of bad luck or a flaw in the universe. They are succeeding, perfectly and painfully, at replaying an unconscious story you desperately need to understand. Consider the feeling. It is a strange and frustrating form of déjà vu. You meet someone new. They seem entirely different from your last partner. They have a different job, different hobbies, a different way of speaking. Yet, 6 months later, you find yourself in the exact same argument, feeling the exact same knot of disappointment in your stomach.
The names and faces change, but the dynamic remains stubbornly, maddeningly the same. One partner was a musician who was emotionally distant. The next was an entrepreneur who was always too busy. The one after that was a traveler who could never commit. The packaging was different, but the core experience was identical, a feeling of being secondary, of not being truly chosen. We tell ourselves we just have a preference for a certain kind of person. We like ambitious people, we say, or creative souls. These are superficial labels that mask a much deeper mechanism at play. The truth is that your attractions are not random. They are not a matter of taste. They are a compass, pointing directly toward your deepest psychological wounds and your greatest unrealized potential for growth. To understand this pattern, we must turn away from the world of dating advice with its lists of red flags and communication techniques and turn inward. We must look into the vast, unseen territory of the unconscious mind. Imagine your conscious mind, the part of you that is listening to this right now, is the actor on a stage. It says its lines, it makes its choices, it feels its feelings, but it did not write the script. It did not design the set or choose the other actors. That role belongs to a director you have never met, the unconscious. This director, shaped by the powerful experiences of your earliest years, has a very specific story it wants to tell, over and over again, until you, the actor, finally understand its theme. Our journey today is to go backstage and meet this director. We will examine 3 of the most powerful tools it uses to cast your romantic partners, 3 keys that unlock the mystery of your recurring patterns. These keys come from the foundational work of depth psychology, from thinkers like Carl Jung and Sigmund Freud. They are the concepts of projection, repetition compulsion, and the shadow. Let us begin with the first key, the intoxicating and deceptive force of projection. Jung called this the Anima and Animus. For every man, there exists an unconscious feminine image, the Anima. For every woman, an unconscious masculine image, the Animus. These are not simple gender roles. They are complex inner archetypes built from a lifetime of experiences, from our first relationship with our parents to the cultural images we absorb. This inner figure represents the ideal, the soul image, the other half we feel we are searching for. When we feel that electrifying connection, the one we call love at first sight, we are often not seeing the actual person in front of us. We are seeing our anima or animus projected onto them like a film onto a blank screen. They say or do something that perfectly matches a detail in our unconscious portrait, and suddenly our entire inner world illuminates them, bestowing upon them a magic and a significance they may not have earned. Let us consider a practical example we will call Alex. Alex is responsible, organized, and has a stable career. Alex craves security. Yet Alex is consistently and powerfully attracted to partners we can call the free spirit. These partners are artists, wanderers, and rebels. They are exciting, spontaneous, and live outside the rules that govern Alex's life. The initial attraction is overwhelming. The free spirit seems to hold the key to a more vibrant, authentic existence. Alex feels more alive, more real in their presence. This is the anima or animus projection in action. Alex's unconscious is projecting its own underdeveloped, soulful, spontaneous qualities onto this other person. The free spirit becomes a symbol of everything Alex feels is missing in their own life. The problem is that no real human can bear the weight of a divine projection for long. The free spirit is not just a symbol. They are a person. They are messy, they are flawed, and their spontaneity might also manifest as unreliability. Their freedom might also mean they are incapable of commitment. When the real person inevitably emerges from behind the projection, Alex feels betrayed and disappointed. The magic fades and the old pattern of heartbreak repeats. Alex concludes that free spirits are untrustworthy and resolves to find someone more stable next time, all without realizing the attraction itself was the clue. The intensity of the projection was a message from Alex's own psyche, a call to develop their own spontaneity and creativity, not to find it in another person. This leads us to the second key, a concept from Freud known as the repetition compulsion.
This is the unconscious drive to reenact and repeat unresolved emotional dynamics from our past, particularly from childhood. The unconscious does not have a concept of time. An emotional wound from age 7 is as present and active as one from last Tuesday. If a core emotional need was not met in childhood, the psyche will compulsively recreate the conditions of that original scene in our adult relationships, hoping for a different outcome this time. It is an attempt to heal, a drive to finally solve the old problem. Let us return to Alex and the attraction to the emotionally unavailable free spirit.
If we look into Alex's past, we might find a parent who was charismatic and exciting, but also inconsistent and preoccupied. This parent was a source of both love and profound anxiety. Alex spent their childhood trying to be good enough, quiet enough, or interesting enough to secure that parent's consistent love and attention. The emotional blueprint was set. Love became intertwined with a feeling of anxious striving and unpredictability. Now, as an adult, Alex's unconscious scans the world for partners who can play the role of that parent. The free spirit fits perfectly. The dynamic of chasing an exciting but unavailable person feels familiar. It feels like love, because it is the first version of love Alex ever knew. The relationship becomes a subconscious stage where Alex is trying to finally win the old game, to finally get the free spirit to commit and provide the stable love the parent never did. Of course, this is a strategy doomed to fail. The new partner is not the old parent, and the adult Alex cannot heal the child's wound by forcing a different ending from a substitute in the present. The compulsion only leads to a repetition of the original pain, reinforcing the belief that Alex is not worthy of consistent love. The pattern is not a sign of being broken. It is a sign of a deep, intelligent, and misguided attempt to heal. The psyche is repeating the lesson because the student has not yet understood the curriculum. The projection of the anima or animus explains the initial magical attraction. The repetition compulsion explains why that attraction feels so familiar and faded, so inescapable.
But the third key, the Jungian shadow, reveals the deepest reason we choose the partners we do. It is the most profound and often the most difficult piece of the puzzle to accept. The shadow is everything we are but have chosen not to be. It contains all the parts of ourselves that we have repressed or disowned because they were deemed unacceptable by our family, our culture, or ourselves. It could be our anger, our creativity, our vulnerability, our ambition, our wildness. We push these traits into the darkness of the unconscious, hoping they will disappear. But they do not disappear. They live there, and they long to be integrated into the whole of our personality. One of the primary ways the shadow attempts to reintegrate is by making us fall in love with it. We are powerfully, magnetically, and often destructively drawn to people who embody our disowned shadow qualities. Let us look at Alex one last time. Alex is the responsible one, the planner, the stable provider. The traits Alex has pushed into the shadow are chaos, spontaneity, artistic expression, and a disregard for convention. The free spirit partner is the living embodiment of Alex's shadow. The attraction is not just a projection of an ideal, and not just a repetition of a childhood wound. It is a deep yearning for wholeness that comes from the soul. Alex's psyche is screaming for integration. It is saying, you cannot live as only half of a person. You must reclaim your own creativity, your own freedom, your own wildness. The intense conflict in the relationship arises because Alex is both attracted to and repulsed by the free spirit. Alex loves their spontaneity, but also judges their lack of discipline. Alex admires their freedom, but also resents their unreliability. This is because Alex is judging their own disowned shadow. The entire relationship becomes an external battleground for an internal war.
Alex is trying to control, fix, or change the free spirit, but they are really trying to control, fix, or change the disowned part of themselves. The pattern will only break when Alex stops looking for the free spirit outside and begins the courageous work of finding that energy within. Alex does not need to become an unreliable artist. Alex needs to integrate the essence of that archetype, perhaps by taking up a creative hobby, by allowing for more spontaneity in their schedule, or by questioning their own rigid conventions. By integrating the shadow, the compulsive need to find it in a partner dissolves. The desperate, painful attraction is replaced by a conscious choice. You no longer need someone to complete you because you are becoming whole within yourself. This brings us to a point of practical application.
Understanding these concepts is the first step, but engaging with them is the path to change. Here is a simple and immediate checkpoint for you to begin this work. For the next 2 days, I want you to pay close attention to your feelings of irritation, annoyance, or judgment toward other people, whether they are your partner, a colleague, or a stranger on the street. What specific trait in them provokes a strong negative emotional reaction in you? Is it their loudness, their perceived arrogance, their vulnerability, their messiness, their strict discipline? Identify the specific trait.
Then write it down without judgment, just the word, arrogance, loudness, weakness. This strong negative reaction is often a powerful clue. The things that we judge most harshly in others are very often the qualities of our own disowned shadow. We despise the arrogant person because we have repressed our own capacity for self-worth and confidence. We are irritated by the vulnerable person because we have disowned our own need for softness and support. This exercise is not about condoning bad behavior in others. It is about using your emotional reactions as a diagnostic tool to see what is hidden in your own unconscious. This is the beginning of shadow work. It is the first step toward reclaiming the lost pieces of yourself.
So the path forward, the way to break the cycle, is not about creating a checklist for a better partner. It is not about avoiding a certain type. It is about embarking on the internal journey of integration. It is about withdrawing your projections and seeing people for who they are, not who your unconscious needs them to be. It is about understanding the echoes of your past, not to blame, but to develop compassion for the child within you who is still trying to get their needs met. And most importantly, it is about turning to face your own shadow, to embrace the parts of yourself you have denied, and to become a more whole and complete individual. When you do this work, you begin to choose partners not from a place of unconscious need and desperate lack, but from a place of conscious wholeness and genuine connection. The frantic search for your other half ends because you are finally becoming whole yourself. The pattern is not a curse, it is a map. It has been leading you through all the heartbreak and frustration back to yourself. The journey is not easy, but it is the only one that leads to authentic love and lasting fulfillment.